Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the consultation meeting on the state of progress of the measures taken against the coronavirus. The meeting of members of government with the notable of the locality of Madgul. For the international scene, the World Health Organization is called for a test for every suspected cases. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, chaired a consultation meeting on the state of progress in the prevention and action against the new pandemic that is the coronavirus. This meeting served as a exchanges on the measures taken for the response should case occur in the territory. The aim was to take stocks of the situations and to take appropriate and preventive measures in the face of spread of this pandemic. The health team headed by the Minister Muhammad Warsama informed the President of the Republic of the mechanism and the various mechanisms that have been put in place to deal with the epidemic in case of contaminations and the national health security plan. This meeting, which is of capital importance, brought together the Prime Minister, the head of the diplomacy, various officials of the Armed Corps, the director of the CNSS, the Secretary General of the Presidency, at a time when this pandemic, which has become global, is affecting nations. The Republic of Djibouti has taken the lead in countering this disease. The head of state and his entire government have taken the lead in protecting the population. The Minister of Health, headed by the Minister Muhammad Warsama, briefed us on the meetings with the President of the Republic. Listen to this report.
Un dispositif national de préparation à la riposte a été mis en place et comprend un comité de crise.
A national response preparation system has been established. It includes a crisis committee, which this morning also includes an economist so that it can measure the economic impact of this issue. The role of this committee is to monitor the national, sub-regional, and international situation. This committee will hold a regular press briefing to keep the population informed of the evolution of the health situation in the country, and this is essential. We have also established several technical committees responsible for setting up response mechanisms. There are 6 biological diagnostic committees. COVID-19 diagnostic tests are available. The capacity of logistic is limited, it must be said. We also have a committee for the care and training of healthcare personnel. Management protocols has been finalized and training of health care personnel has been initiated since March 16. We have also set up a committee for the management of medicines and devices. The available medicines and medical devices has been reviewed by the technical committees for adjustments. We have also set up a human resources committee. It has been set up by the committee in charge of human resources and the rotation schedule has been drawn up. Staff have already been identified and the rotation schedule for the quarantine, but also for the care site, have been identified. If necessary, medical and paramedical students in training will support the nursing staff. We also have a communication committee. This is the most important committee. A communication plan has been developed to inform and sensitize the population of Djibouti on hygiene and prevention measures against the COVID-19 coronavirus infection. We also have an operational plan for preparedness in response to COVID-19 developed in cooperation with all partners in the health sector, and also evaluated by the WHO. We have also put in place an exceptional measure as it was the state that took this measure to temporarily suspend international passenger flights departing and arriving at the international Humbuli airport. Enhanced surveillance measures at land and at sea entry points with the support of the constituted bodies. It must be stressed, and I would like to thank the police colonel who are truly accompanying us in this process. We have set up a quarantine site and a care site at the former Bufar and the hospital in Arta, which have been just handed over to us. And we have set up a telephone line, 1517, to answer all your questions, as we said last time, and a multi-sectoral component that involves several ministerial departments in the preparation of the good limits of the COVID-19. I also think that multi-sectoral aspect, there is also the para-public sector, but also the private sector, the constituted bodies and the border international partners in the health sector. Thank you. These are the steps that have been taken with regard to the servers.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, told us that they are gathered here to take immediate preventive and control measures against coronavirus pandemic that is lurking around our countries. Listen to the head of state.
walaalayaal waxaan halkan u fadhinay waxa weeyaan masiibo ama caabuq la yiraahdo
Dear
coronavirus
countrymen, we are gathered here to take immediate preventive and control measures against this coronavirus pandemic that is roaming around our country. We have taken all the necessary measures to better protect our population. Thank God there have been no cases that have been detected, seen, or confirmed. But as it has affected neighboring countries, it's our responsibility to protect our population. The government has created monitoring committees. The people you can see are on this table of doctors. We have created subcommittees. We have created a toll-free hotline that anyone can call at any time. All the equipment has been put in place and more is coming. Nearly 50 million Djiboutian francs has been spent on this new equipment. If all these measures are taken, they are taken only for the well-being of the population. We urge the population to follow these unavoidable measures to the letter. Measures that can blunt the virus. These preventive measures can help ensure the virus does not spread if a case is found. This is a virus that can live in the area, so be careful at all public activities, including outings, crowded places, and reduce all contact. Social contact must be minimized, which means limiting all social engagements. Gestures adapted to daily life are needed to avoid the spread of the virus, such as hand hygiene, washing hands with soap or whisk gel. This prevents you from becoming infected. Anyone who sees symptoms such as fever, coughing, or sneezing should call this number. We can all be careful if we apply ourselves to do this. If we are united in the face of this pandemic, you have seen a lot of people around the world lately from countries that are in state of containment. No more schools, no more businesses. We don't want to reach that level. We pray to Allah the Almighty.
Once the discussions were over, in order to raise awareness among the population, the head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, demonstrated preventive gestures by holding hand-washing sessions, a simple and harmless gesture that can prevent you from being infected by the coronavirus. Prime Minister Abdulkader Kamil Mohammed has received today, Tuesday, in his office at the ministerial residence, the special envoy of the Egyptian President, Mr. Abu Bakr Hafri, to whom he delivered a writing messages from Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. The meeting took place in the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, Government spokesperson Mohammed Ali Yusuf, and Egyptian ambassador to Djibouti, Dr. Mohammed Mustafa Orfi. The Prime Minister and the Egyptian ambassador referred to the fraternal relations and joint cooperation exist between the Republic of Djibouti and the Arab Republic of Egypt in various files. In an interview on a national television, the Egyptian presidency envoy Abu Bakr Hisni said that his visit to Djibouti is part of the ongoing consultations between the authorities of the two countries. Yesterday's meetings in Madgul between members of government representing the President of the Republic, namely the Interior Minister Moumin Ahmed, the Agriculture Minister Mohammed Ahmed Awali, and the Secretary of State in charge of decentralization, Mr. Hamadou Mohammed Aramis, with the community allowed the grievance of the women and men of Madgul and its surroundings to be heard. Thus, the Secretary of State in charge of decentralization, Hamadou Mohammed Aramis, who took the floor, reminding the peoples of Madgul that and his government colleagues were there to represent the head of state in order to listen to them and collected their suggestions and grievances. He said that it was on the instructions of the head of state and that the meetings would continue and that all recorded questions would be addressed directly to him. Mohammed Al-Ramis also conveyed to the population a message from the President Anglais that the request for schools and health centers would be met. The representative of the community of Madguls and the ministers Mohammed Al-Ramis intervened turns to thank the President for the achievement and in particular the new halt with 15 cubic meters of water per hour. They also expressed their concerns and demand for changes to improve their living conditions. His question is focused on the road after the construction of Tajra Balho Road. The speakers asked that the locality of Madgul or the road of Tubuya to be built so that this whole area could be opened up. Among the points raised, the population was particularly keen to express its gratitude for the availability of water in Madguls, an essential element of the basis of all transformations, they said. On the issue of women, the representative of women of Madgul stressed that changes have begun thanks to the drilling of wells. Nevertheless, she stressed the importance of accelerating the construction of a school for the children of this town. The participant thanked firstly a few months ago, Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed launched on behalf of the President Ismail Omar Guelleh the construction of 100 social housing unit, an initiative of the Right to Housing Foundation is created in 2016 by the President Guelleh. More details in this magazine.
2 months ago, Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed launched on behalf of the President of the Republic Ismail Omar Guelleh the work for the construction of 100 social housing units, an initiative of the Foundation Right to Housing created in 2016 by President Guelleh, a charitable organization aiming to guarantee access to decent housing to the Djibouti's poorest households, or those with modest incomes, as the Prime Minister recalled at the start of the work. It's for the President's Housing Foundation that we have been able to lay the foundation stone. This is the first region for this program. That's why we're here. Thus, in Ubuk town, the construction site has progressed rather quickly since the break of the foundation stone. Houses have taken shape and are now in the process of being built. They will soon welcome the first beneficiaries. Currently, the construction sector is at its peak in Hayu City. After the capital, Ubuk is the first region to have benefited from housing, the first phase of which is nearing completion, a program that have raised a lot of hope among the Ubuk people at a very low level income. 100 houses are under construction for the most needed. The work is underway and it's progressing very well, all this thanks to Ismail Omar's politics. Since its inception 4 years ago, the organizations have helped hundreds of Djiboutian families, what makes the Right to Housing Foundation of the President of the Republic an example of the choice of active solidarity in our country.
To help the population of the interior region and in particular those suffering from extreme poverty, this is the objectives of the government, which thanks to the support of the World Bank within the framework of the project of development response to the impact related to displacement in the Horn of Africa, finances programs in the Obok region. More details in this magazine.
Help the populations of the interior regions and in particular those who suffer from extreme poverty. This is the objective of the government, which thanks to the support of the World Bank in the framework of the development to impact related displacement in the Horn of Africa, is funding programs in the Obok region. Obok, where the plan is to bring together women and young people with the setting up of a working capital. We are a few hundred meters from the main town, in Fantahero. This program has funded several activities that generate revenues. Activities that range from retail trade to small businesses, stalls for the sale of fruit and vegetables, but also booths. 400,000 in funding, of which first results are already being felt in a few months. I used to work in another phone booth for a living, but today my situation is getting better and better, and I know I'm going to move forward. I had a difficult past, but things have changed. On the spot, the ADDS has designated Fatuma for this program. She's a trainer and facilitator. Today, she has an appointment with one of the beneficiaries to monitor its activities and possibly advise it. What do you do with the money you earn? Do you put it in your account or do you reinvest? I'm reinvesting. In what? In everything that is usually sold here. Musa was also selected among the 100 or so candidates. Today, he travels around Hayu and its localities with his tuk-tuk and earns his living thanks to this government initiative. I was still driving the tuk-tuk from a friend when I heard about a training and 400 francs for unemployed people, as I knew that there were opportunities in serving places like Dali 30 kilometers away. I decided to go for it and everything is fine. I don't know if my associates and I should buy a second tuk-tuk, but we want to invest in a second tuk-tuk. A solar refrigerator to open a shop in Dali. Another equally important project has been in existence in the region for as long as years. It's an approach called a self-help aficionado group, piloted by the community and aims to improve livelihoods. Thus, in August 2017, 8 groups of 15 women were set up. In 3 years, this figure has tripled to 274 members. Prior to this program, Ubuk women had organized themselves to contribute and for some of them to launch micro-income generating activities, which then will be strengthened by this program. I've been in charge of the family since the father of my children passed away. I started selling small items that allow me to cover school fees and other small expenses for my children, and finally, one day I joined a group with whom I contributed 100 francs until ADDS came for our aid. That's how I benefited 20,000 francs at the beginning, and then 100, and then 150 francs at the end. And it was the last installment that really made my life better. As for Shahim, Saida or Musa, thanks to these programs, a good amount of women and young people in the region are now living outside the streets. Revenue-generating activities that make a difference every day and allow them to get a little further away from poverty.
As part of the National Women's Week was closed on Saturday, March 14, 2020 at the Djibouti Women's Sports Complex, a Days of Sports and Discovery of Sports Complex. The ceremony was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Family, Ms. Anissa Hassan, the Vice President of the United Nations System, the United Women, Ms. Hassan Ahmed Bili, the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Secretary Khadija Ibrahim, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Sports and Youth, Ms. Khadija Ibrahim, the representative of the Olympic Committee, Saida Sikin, as well as Member of Parliament, local elected officials, and civil society. The theme of these days is from the generations equals of healthy mind and healthy body. Despite some progress, the international community agreed to the questions. Most women and girls in the world evolving extremely slowly. No country is yet in the position to claim to have achieved gender equality. The year 2020 offers an unhoped opportunity for global actions to achieve gender equality and respect for the human right of all women and girls. There were triumphal awards to each of the winning teams, such as football, senior A, handball, Republican Guard teams, 2 first in tech ball, 2 in table tennis, and finally the senior women's football team gave a gift to the First Lady Khadra Mahmoud Haid and gave it to the Vice President of UNFD, for which she gave towards the closing of this National Women's Day. A family photo was taken. The Secretary General of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Khadija Ibrahim Idris, has indicated the importance of this gathering. Listen for more detail in this report.
À l'instar de tous les pays du monde, la République de Djibouti a célébré la Journée internationale des droits de la femme le 8 mars.
Like all the countries of the world, the Republic of Djibouti celebrated International Women's Rights Day on 8th March with pomp and fervor. If we take a step back, women played a leading role in the war during the pivotal periods of the struggle for independence. As outstanding activists for noble causes, they pushed their spouse, sons, brothers, and other men to the rhythm of mobilizing political slogans, among other various supporters, to break free from the colonial yoke, as you know. It is from the year 1999, with the rise of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, that the prospects for the future began to emerge. From the end, although they took off very quickly, the rise of women to the highest decision-making levels of the state marked a turning point in women's empowerment.
For her part, Ms. Hasna Hamad Bili, the Vice President of UNFT, said to the women is welcome on this complex that our President of the Republic and the First Lady President of the UNFT offered us have thanked us today. It is clear that women play a very important role in all sports. Tell women and girls that you have a complex for you and that sports is health. There is all kinds of football, tennis, tech-ball, handball, swimming pool, fitness, volleyball, table tennis, hairdressing, cooking. I'm telling you to come out here and we all waiting for you. The participant thanked firstly the President and the First Lady who offered this women's complex. Secondly, the director of this women's sports complex. They said, we found women's complex which is very important for us. The Minister of Trade press release. The Minister of Trade, in close collaboration with the Budget and Economic Finance Department, but also the private sector, has set up a small technical committee and has begun work to curb possible price rises, but above all to prevent food shortage. This same committee held a meeting on Monday, 16 March, with the main importers of the Chamber of Commerce, whose objective was to determine the volume of available stock by declaring it and price stability. The operators reassured the administration officials on the sufficient availability of foodstuff, given the forecasts for the blessed month of Ramadan, during which high consumption is observed at the household level. The available stocks and current orders will cover market demand for several months. Following this meeting, there has been a sudden increase in the consumption of food products. Note in recent days, the Ministry of Trade would like to inform and reassure the Djiboutian population of the availability of a sufficient quantity and food stock for the coming months. The ministry would like to take this opportunity to remind importers, distributors, and retailers to comply strictly with the prices approved by the state and to inform them that a campaign to monitor prices is underway and the offending traders will be severely punished in accordance with the regulations in force. We have another press release from the Minister of Transport. In line with the government proactive management to fight the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, the Minister of Equipment Transport informed the population that it has been decided to suspend the passenger trains linking Djibouti to Ethiopia from 20 March 2020 until further notice. This measure concerns only passengers and not cargo. The transport of goods. The transport of goods will continue to operate normally and will not be suspended. The ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the Republic of Sudan, His Excellency Ahmed Ali Barre, was received this morning, Thursday, by His Excellency Omar Bashir Manis, Minister of Prime Minister's Office, on a working visit to his office. The meeting took place in a climate of trust and focus on issues of common interest between the two countries, especially bilateral relations, with which the two leaders wish to see further developed on broader horizons. In taking the floor, the ambassador expressed his warm thanks to his host and at the same time conveyed the fraternal greetings of the Djiboutian authorities to their Sudanese counterparts. The ambassador then handed over a letter from His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic, addressed to Abdallah Hamdok, Prime Minister of Transition. The letter concerns the condemnations by His Excellency the President of the assassination attempt against the Prime Minister last week and reiterating the support of the government and people of Djibouti. On the initiative of the civil society organizations of in city of Dakhel, the committee of city of Dakhel carried out this Saturday March a cleanup operations of the sports complex of Dakhel, in addition to the personal staff of the Sub-Directorate of Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, the regional leagues. This large-scale cleaning activity has seen the participation of local authorities, including the prefect of the region, Adan Drar Musa, the president of the regional council, Abdurrahman Yunus Arre, the shopkeepers of the place's military section of Riyadh, the chief doctors and his staff, as well as the young people from the various districts of the city of Unit. Thus, the big dojo room and the changing rooms of the handball court were properly cleaned by the participant. The president of the regional council, Abdurrahman Yunus Arre, has indicated that this action of cleaning of sports complex is the preliminary one and this in the hope of obtaining his total rehabilitation is in the next few days from the supervision department. We learned with sadness and dismay the death of our colleague Ahmed Abdullahi Ahmed Qayad this morning at his home in the Mecca al-Mukarram city, born on 3 October 1974 in Dakhil. The deceased joined RTD on February 2004 as a technician after numerous training course abroad. The late Ahmed Abdullahi Ahmed was appointed head of the TV centers before his integration into the transmission center as manager. He leaves behind a daughter. On learning of this painful loss, the Minister of Communication in charge of postal communication, the General Directorate of RTD and all the staff send their sincere condolences to the families and loved ones of pray the most God to welcome him in his eternal paradise. In Allah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, the World Health Organization has called on all countries to step up population screening program to curb the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused the major global health crisis of our time. More detail with Dini Musa.
Response to major global health crisis of our time. The World Health Organization called on Monday 16 March for a test for every suspected case of coronavirus. COVID-19 has caused at least 7,063 deaths worldwide since its appearance in December. More than 180 cases of infection has been counted in 145 countries and territories since the beginning of the epidemic. However, this number of diagnosed cases is only an imperfect reflection of reality, as many countries are now testing only those cases requiring hospital management. Countries are not doing enough to trace and test every potential case of infection, focusing more on measures to create social distance between citizens. The head of the organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, criticized on Monday. We have a simple message for all countries. Test, test, test. The WHO chef insisted at a press conference in Geneva. There are now more cases and deaths in the rest of the world than in China, he added at a press conference.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.